on the Rangeless Travel Podcast. We are coming live from our first official free campground spot on our trip from the northeast. I guess from the northeast.
Well, we came from like Brooklyn.
Well, I guess, yeah, we started in Brooklyn and we're going all the way to Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Big U-shape.
And this is our first official free campground. And today, because I'm sure that everyone is on the edge of their seats wondering, how do they find free campgrounds?
We're going to let you know.
Welcome back to the Rangeless Travel Podcast. We're your favorite adventure travel hosts. I'm Britt, and this is Ryan. Together, we travel the world by plane, train, and 89 Ford Sportsmobile, capturing the beauty, adventure, and culture in every corner of the globe. Currently, we're traveling the U.S. in an old van with our two dogs, Layla and Cedar. Every Tuesday, we share stories and tips to inspire you to book that next trip. So go ahead and don't be shy. Follow along with us at Rangeless_ on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Let's dive in. So we're going back. This might be like our first official free campground, but we've definitely done quite a bit of boondocking in the last few months. Going back to 2014 was the first time I took off in an adventure mobile. I had a schoolie, and then I ended up selling that, and then I had a mini Winnie, so I had a RV. And really the only resource I had to find free campgrounds and like where I could stay was, I guess I used Google Maps a little bit, but most of it was like Facebook groups and like people communicating back and forth with each other. And there wasn't that many websites or outlets to be able to find spots that we could camp at. But now we have so many resources to be able to find different camping spots, different campgrounds, all that are free. First things first though, you have to know the state boondocking and camping laws.
Right.
Every state's gonna have different laws, and those can also be like different counties can have different laws as well. Mm-hmm. So you have to look up what the laws are for where you're gonna be camping or where you currently are at to make sure that you don't get ticketed or
asked to
like
leave, get the knock in the middle of the night, all of those things. Or, you just don't want to like be in...
Or if you are somewhere you're not allowed to be, just making sure you're like extra stealth and like not setting up full camp and you're just like tucking in, going to sleep, whatever,
Exactly.
and like waking up. And then you have to leave super early in the morning and you just like can't hang out. But there's a few ways that we personally have used to find free campgrounds for the last few months and free spots that we can park overnight. Mm-hmm. The first one, and where we found this spot, was freecamping.net.
Yes, that's a website. It's not an app, and it's user generated. A bunch of people like will pin places on it, and for the most part, it's not like the most up to date out of all the things. Like the last review for this place was like what, 9 months? A year ago. So a lot of times you're like hoping that it's still the way it's listed, and you still have to do a little bit of guessing with all these apps and all these websites. But this place was marked. We're in Belmont Park. It's in Alabama, and it's on Army Corps of Engineers land, and it is free to camp here.
Does the Army Corps? Because I keep seeing I keep researching places saying like Army Corps Engineer. What is it?
Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, is that like a big one for camping?
I think so. I'm not entirely sure, but
they came up like multiple times now on my searches. At least in Alabama,
in Alabama, I know there's recreational areas within the Army Corps of Engineers land, and a lot of times there's campsites. I don't know why. Maybe it's like a training exercise because engineers, like if an army's moving into somewhere, they have to build a camp. Mm-hmm. So that's the engineer's job. So maybe that's like their training, and then they did it and they left the campsites, or they did it as a training exercise. I don't know. If someone knows why, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we don't know. But I've noticed that like over and over again.
Yeah.
I've seen them and they've came up on freecamping.net for free campgrounds.
Yeah.
But again, the website, it's just people can pin it and then you can share with other people when you find a good spot and you can write reviews. Now, because it is user generated, you're kind of just on your own quest to see if it is what it is.
And there's no like official information. It's based on what people have experienced when they've been there. So like it's not going to tell you the definite answer for anything. Like this, we could have showed up here and it could have been a $25 a night charge.
Yeah, we weren't really sure. And when we looked up on, like I did a little bit of Googling online just because it is a park. So like I can Google it and it wasn't really clear on their park website.
No.
So I just like didn't know. So we were just like, whatever. And we took a shot in the dark. But that's part of why it's important to know your state laws when it comes to boondocking, because we did know that in Alabama, boondocking's not illegal. So we could have parked anywhere and it been just fine for the night and like figured it out the next day.
Yeah.
So we use that. And then we also use that alongside all of the things we're using. We're kind of layering and we're cross-referencing them. It's not just like go on one thing and then all of our answers are magically answered.
No,
it's like
absolutely not.
cross-referencing all these different websites and different apps to find out like what would be the next best spot for us, because we do like to like visit a city for a couple days or drive for a couple days and then stay somewhere for up to 14 days, because that's the federal regulation for boondocking, is you can stay somewhere for up to 14 days. So then we'll stay somewhere for like a week, 2 weeks, and then move on again. So we want the places that we find that we're staying longer, we want to be good spots. So we cross-reference the website, freecamping.net, and then I'm sure you've heard it is iOverlander.
Yes.
Which is a website and an app.
Yes. iOverlander is like first one recommended on pretty much all the like boondocking blogs and like Vanlife, everything. It's iOverlander. And honestly, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
That's why we're cross-referencing all these different places, because it's okay. Again, it's user-generated. So it's the people that have been to these different spots before and they pin them. But we have found some good spots through there. Like I didn't know that you could park overnight at Bass Pro Shop.
Yes.
But I saw it on iOverlander and then I double-checked and you can park overnight at Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah, depending on, you have to speak to the manager, but yeah, it depends on location. But for the majority, you can. And we did that in Birmingham, and it was really nice.
Yeah, it was
really
the one
good.
in Leeds, Alabama, was the one we stayed at, and it was really nice, and it was nicer than some campgrounds we've stayed at.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just cross-referencing it, and then there's always going to be that air of it is user-generated, so you don't know 100% of what you're going to get. Additionally, on the map, something everyone has on their phone is Google Maps.
Yes, Google Maps is really good for finding the more secluded spots.
So in the U.S., there's something called, if you're listening from the U.S., you probably already know about it, but if you're listening from one of our other countries that we have listeners at, you might not know. So in the U.S., there is a Bureau of Land Management, and this is called BLM Land, and it's federally owned. It's paid for and funded by tax dollars, and it is all over, mostly the West, but it is all over the country, and you can stay on BML land for up to 14 nights, and you can boondock. Now, you can look up the map of where the BML land is, and then we'll layer that with our Google Maps.
Right.
So we can find really cool secluded spots. Now, if you follow a lot of like van lifers and you see those like beautiful, like incredible like Instagrams or TikToks where they're opening the van doors and it's like just like the most majestic view you've ever seen.
Yeah, like mountains and lakes and everything.
That's how they're finding those spots.
Right.
They're going onto the BML land map and then they're layering over it their satellite view of their Google Maps and they're searching and they're like scrolling in on like these little dirt roads and the different places to be able to find those spots. That's how they're doing it.
Yeah.
Because those spots are not marked on a map anywhere and no one's telling you where those spots are, because unfortunately when you share locations like that on places like freecamping.net and iOverlander, people destroy them and they don't take care of...
Yeah, not everyone, but there's always like one or two people who's going to spoil it for everyone and leave garbage lying around, not clean up after themselves, not be self-contained, like dump their waste.
Yep. Like I know back in 2014 when I first started, like the first ever like big mission out into, you know, the adventure mobiles, van life, I got a taste of, we were all sharing like every location with each other. And jumping forward almost 10 years, well, actually 10 years now, no one's doing that anymore. Because what happened is 10 years ago, the community was much smaller, but we were also like all sharing it, right? So you share it with 5 people, they all, each 5 people share it with 5 people. And then what was happening is we were coming back, we as in like the community and people within it, would come back like the next year or 6 months or like 2 years later, and those spots that like we were all loving 10 years ago are now trashed.
Yeah.
Just because from the volume of people coming through and that not everyone respected the beauty of nature to the same degree as other people, which destroyed some of the spots. And you'll find it a lot now. Your van life influencers will gatekeep.
Yeah, that's a big thing now, is a lot of people will not tell anyone their best spots.
To be honest, I wouldn't. I can't speak for them, but like I wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean,
Just
it's all part of it too, finding those spots.
Yeah, finding the spots and using the BML maps with your Google Maps and going in and searching is part of that journey. But that's how everyone's finding it. And then lastly, no, that's all the apps we're using, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the apps we're using. That's it. So website, we're using freecamping.net. Apps, we're using iOverlander and Google Maps. And then a paid app that we do not currently use, but we've heard a lot about and we're thinking about potentially getting is Harvest Host. Harvest Host is I think they're a website and an app. And it's paid. So you pay them. There's different tiers, different levels. I think the lowest tier is like $80 a year, and it goes all the way up to $180 a year. And it tells you a bunch of places that you can park. So like breweries, distilleries, golf courses, wineries, farms,
farmers market. I don't know. There's all sorts
it's like
of things
all
like
different
that.
like places that you can park for the night or 2 nights all over North America.
Right.
We've never used it.
No, we haven't.
But I know people that have used it and have liked it. We just haven't really decided if we need it, and if so, what tier. Because I know the $180 a month tier, it's $179
a year tier.
A year tier includes telling you where a bunch of dump sites are. So where you empty out your black tank. And I don't know if those are free dump sites, because those exist, or if they're paid dump sites. Because if they're paid dump sites, then I can just
find it ourselves.
Find it, and then also like iOverlander has dump site like filter, and freecamping.net also has a dump site filter. So if that's the case, and they're not just handing me like free dump sites, I feel like I can just use my other resources.
I think that would come more into like in clutch where you're like closer to a city and less out in the boonies like where we are now. It may be like, because like if there's a brewery in a city and they're allowing overnight parking or whatever. But again, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know. We haven't decided yet.
If you guys have used Harvest Host, let us know your thoughts on it, because we're on the fence right now and whether or not we're going to take the plunge to try it out. So let us know what your feedbacks are on that. But that's it. That's how we find free campsites. It's not some big secret. It's not
rocket science.
It's not rocket science.
It's a little bit of an adventure, and you can take a few missteps and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an adventure, and it can be a little nerve-wracking, especially the first few times you try to find one. But I think that is all part of it. And then when you do come to like such a perfect camp spot, it's all that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's even more sweet. I think that it's free. I think this is way more special than like paying like $25 up the road in a campground.
Yeah, it's all an adventure. And if you want to follow along on our adventure and you want more from us, you can find us at Rangeless_ on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, wherever else you get your podcasts from, and Instagram. And until next week,
bye.